Is Bangkok the best city in Southeast Asia? Tell me what you think in the comments below. It is my third time here in Thailand, and that is a question I want to answer today. I am staying just round the corner there. Now, every time that I visit this city, I like to stay in the older part of Bangkok, closer to the Grand Palace and the main temples. As there's quite a lot of tourists in this area, you have lots of choices of food, great restaurants, and pretty views of stupas and bridges as the one I'm about to pass here. It's not the main river is down there, but this is a small canal leading off it, lots of little bridges, some of the buildings. This area has a lot of nice restaurants too, sitting by the river. I apologize if the traffic is a little bit loud on my GoPro here. I just need to cross to get to a different part of the older area of Bangkok. This used to be one of the main streets with offices and important government buildings at some point in the 20th century. If you've been following my channel, then you will know that I was in Mongolia for a little while before this. The videos were a different style to the one I'm filming now. The first reason being, it was on my Canon using my gimbal and Rode mic. It was a much more detailed, layered, and just a more kind of structured series of videos in general. But after analyzing the videos that I put out on my channel this year, those Mongolia videos, as great as they are, they take me so much time to edit. And then at the end of the day, hey, how are you? You okay? Okay. Good. At the end of the day, they get as many views as these videos, which are just kind of walking, talking, updating you, talking about travel. A much more kind of in the moment, authentic experience through YouTube, as opposed to lots of overlays and information and that kind of thing. And so I think I will still do those more technical videos in the future in certain places. But for now, I'm going to go back to the GoPro and do these walking and talking, make you feel like you're here with me a bit more, perhaps. This is what I like the most about this part of Bangkok. It seems there's lots of street food, and I know there's plenty in other areas, but combine that with the temples and the architecture, it's a bit more interesting, I think, as a tourist, visitor. This looks like a famous dessert place. Lots of hole-in-the-wall eateries for very affordable prices. So I'll talk a little bit about the previous two visits to Thailand for me. The first time was in 2019. Some of you may remember, if you've been sticking around for that long on my YouTube channel. It came at the end of a long trip around Southeast Asia. I started in Hanoi and went up to Sapa in Vietnam, then made my way down the country to Ho Chi Minh and then crossed the border into Cambodia. I covered Cambodia, and then from Siem Reap I took a bus to Bangkok. By the time I reached Bangkok, a month or two had passed and I'd been traveling around, and I thought I might do Thailand at that time. But in the end I was a bit too burnt out and I thought I would leave it for another time. So I spent just 4 days in Bangkok and made a couple of videos. And in that Bangkok video you can see that I visited the Grand Palace, Chinatown, and the reclining Buddha. I also made a video on how expensive things are in Thailand at that time. And second visit to Thailand came earlier this year, believe it or not, although I did not shoot any videos for my YouTube channel. It was before I went to South India, where recently I visited Hampi and Pondicherry and Mysore and Chennai, Bangalore. So just before that trip, I was in Thailand and I traveled to Kanchanaburi, which is in the west of the country, near the border with Myanmar, and I visited the bridge on the River Quai. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it, but I just wasn't in the frame of mind to be filming. And it was very peaceful, staying in a hotel on the River Quai and then visiting some nearby waterfalls, walking across the bridge on the River Quai, which I've always wanted to visit. That was a big bucket list item for me, because growing up, my granddad and my dad were big fans of the famous war film, The Bridge on the River Kwai, which won many Oscars. It's a great film. I grew up watching it many times, and talks about the prisoners of war who helped build the Death Railway under Japanese occupation, leading to Burma, and in very tropical surroundings, humid, difficult conditions. Unfortunately, many lost their lives. So while I'm in this area, I cannot not make a little trip to Khao Road, the most famous backpacker street in the world, arguably. It's just around the corner from here. Alligator Grill, that is pretty wild. So I'm probably here at the wrong time. I recommend if you want to walk down Khao San, you need to do it at night. And if it's a Friday or Saturday, it's probably going to be very overwhelming. The reason it became so popular was because during the second half of the 20th century, I think, backpackers coming to Thailand needed to stay somewhere that felt a bit more comfortable, a bit more westernized, that was closer to the attractions. And so it kind of emerged as one guest house after the other popped up. Chinatown after that tuk-tuk journey. It cost me 200 baht. I know many people in the comments are going to say it was probably too much, but I did try and get them down. And anyway, what's 50 baht to me? It's all right. Like Khao San Road, I recommend that you come here at night time when it gets dark. But as I said earlier, I have the Muay Thai tonight, and I don't want to arrive too late for that. So it'll probably be dark by the time I leave here. But it is a buzzing area, and the reason you come here is usually for one thing only, and that is street food. I'm going to head to a famous place now, which even has a Michelin award. It's a rolled noodle place, so should be interesting. I'm going to try and hunt it down further down this road. Okay, so I've sat down and I've already ordered the dish. The rolled noodles with crispy pork, and this place is very popular. It originally started with a man and his stall. You can see in the picture there. So let's try it. Whoa. The soup has a really strong black pepper flavor. These are the rolled noodles. I don't think I've ever seen a noodle like this before. Really soft. And the famous crispy pork. Let's see. Pretty good. Chewy and crispy. Rolled noodle soup there, which was definitely worth it. The lights are now on as it's dark, and the atmosphere of Chinatown at its peak here. And before I head to the Muay Thai, I just want to walk around a little bit and show you now what the vibe is like at dark. While I wander here a bit, let's go back to the title of this video. Is Bangkok the best city in Southeast Asia? What are the other contenders? For me, I would say Hanoi in Vietnam, Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and Singapore. I think those are the best. Singapore is the cleanest, the tidiest, the most sanitized, although it still has an element of grit or street food to it, which I love, and history. Bangkok has a really nice mix of the old and new. You can go to some really lovely shopping malls and modern cool bars and mix that with Chinatown and the old part of Bangkok by the river. And then obviously Bangkok has a really good food scene too, like Singapore does. Kuala Lumpur is a bit more calmer than Bangkok, I think. It's more laid back. I don't think it quite reaches the heights of Bangkok. And then you have Hanoi, which is unique in its own way because of its bustling, narrow lanes and motorbikes. But it's a bit too loud for me, I think, Hanoi. So for me, it would be between Singapore and Bangkok. And if you were to push me to live in one, I would probably say Singapore. But as a visitor coming for a few days, I think Bangkok is amazing, but it does get a little bit overwhelming if you stay here for too long. There are, of course, lots of good cities that are much smaller, like Jakarta in Indonesia. Between Bangkok and Singapore, I think Bangkok is more friendly on the prices, but that's not to mean that Singapore is too expensive, because transportation and food honestly isn't that bad in Singapore. It's the hotels and accommodation. Whereas in Bangkok, there's plenty of choice for hotels at affordable prices and good quality too. Wow, look at the lights here. If I've missed any out, let me know. Personally, Phnom Penh in Cambodia, Manila in the Philippines, Jakarta in Indonesia, none of those big cities would make the argument for me. Right, so I'm now here outside the Raja Damnern Stadium, the historic place to watch Muay Thai. It has been open since 1945 and is the oldest in the world. Inside, and this is my view from the club class. There are different classes. In club it's 1,800. It's a bit more expensive. If you want to sit at the front there, ringside, your view is slightly restricted, but you're closer to the action. And then the cheapest class, I believe, is up top. where you have to stand. So we're a few fights in and I am really enjoying it. Amazing to be here. And they call Muay Thai the art of 8 limbs. And that's because it's punches, elbows, knees and kicks. So there's different ways you can strike your opponent using your legs and your hands and your arms. So it's very entertaining because it's hard to defend, I think, a shot because you never know if someone's going to do a spinning kick or go straight for a jab. It's very unpredictable. You get a lot of contact between the two fighters, and that's why there's only a few rounds and the knockouts are so high. The knockout rate is so high. Little tour of what it looks like backstage behind the ring. Refreshments. Here is where the fighters come from. Getting pictures. The next fighter waiting to go out. Hello from Sukhothai. Since the Muay Thai last night, I have a little bit to update you on. So before I talk to you a little bit about Sukhothai, what I'm doing here, how I got here, I'll just recap from last night when I was at the Muay Thai, because I couldn't really do an outro as it was raining once the event was finished. One aspect I really loved was something called Quai, and it's this pre-match kind of ritual that a lot of the fighters tend to do, and you'll see a lot of it. And each fighter has their own unique style. And they often walk around the ring several times, or you'll see them doing different stances. Even fighters from other countries like Afghanistan and Algeria. There was also a guy from Ireland. They do Quai before the fight starts too. They respect the rules. It's so nice to be here in a quieter part of Thailand after getting out of Bangkok. 9 out of 10 of the fights resulted in knockouts, which is more than 80% as the event advertised. So you have to give them that. I mean, the fact you can just hit someone with your knee, your arm, your elbow, your feet, your hands. You can crack someone, and on their way down, you can knee them in the face. That's why there's so many knockouts, because once someone's almost gone, it's very easy to use whatever limb you choose to finish them off. Beautiful, quiet, late afternoon here. So, I'm in Sukhothai. Where is Sukhothai? It's 7.5 hours on the bus north of Bangkok, and I took the bus this morning from Mochit Station in the north of Bangkok. Sukhothai is around halfway, or just over halfway, between Bangkok and Chiang Mai. The reason I wanted to visit Sukhothai is because, well, first of all, one of my followers, subscribers, wrote, I think it was on Instagram, in a recent post of mine from Thailand, I said, any recommendations? Because I think he said, you know, enjoy your time or something. And he said Sukhothai is a recommendation. I thought, I've never heard of Sukhothai. And after doing a little bit of research, I realized this was the former capital of Thailand. Siam, I should say, not Thailand. But it's not as well known as the other former capital of Siam, which is Ayutthaya. That's very close to Bangkok. You can get there, I think, within an hour or an hour and a half. But Ayutthaya is a lot more visited than Sukhothai. I've also heard it's bigger in general. And as much as I kind of wanted to visit it, I had a craving to go somewhere a little bit off the beaten path. Although Sukhothai is still visited by quite a few tourists, it's not as well known. People tend to take the train straight through from Chiang Mai to Bangkok, or vice versa, or they fly, or they go down south to the islands from Bangkok. And so Sukhothai kind of gets missed along the way. And also, I think a lot of people visit Ayutthaya and then they don't feel the need to visit Sukhothai as well. I don't think there'll be too much competition for moments of solitude and quiet. And I've also heard you can go around on a bike because the ruins are scattered over many kilometers, which is also another reason why it kind of gets me interested. This is the swimming pool that belongs to Tai Tai Resort. But I'm pretty hungry right now, so I think I'm gonna grab some food and then start very early tomorrow morning to explore the ruins.